A power user, also called a super user, is someone whose computer skills are better than those of an organization's average end users. A guest is an anonymous user account that provides access to a computer on a limited or temporary basis. Although some computer operating systems have guest accounts by default, most have to be set up manually by the account's administrator. Standard accounts are the basic accounts you use for normal everyday tasks. As a standard account, you can do just about anything you would need to do, such as running softwares or personalizing your desktop. Standard with family safety. These are the only accounts that can have patient control. Administrative shares are default shares of every hard drive on a networked computer. They allow local administrators, typically system administrators, to manage multiple computers and access drives and folders on remote computers without having those remote drives explicitly shared. Permission propagation is when you set permissions, also called access control list (ACL), on a folder or a drive, and the folder properties apply those permissions to all the folders under that folder in the tree. A system file is a critical document in a computer system without which it cannot operate correctly or at all. These files usually come as part of the operating system, which is used for its core operation, or it may be a part of device driver or other type of resource. User authentication is a security process that prevents unauthorized users from accessing your device or network. What is single sign-on? Single sign-on SSO is an authentication method that enables users to securely authenticate with multiple applications and websites by using just one set of credential. When you right-click on a file or program and choose Run as Administrator, that process and only that process is started with an administrator token, thus providing highly integrity clearance for features that may require the additional access to your Windows files, etc. BitLocker is the Windows encryption technology that protects your data from unauthorized access by encrypting your drive and requiring one or more factor of authentication before it will unlock itself. BitLocker To Go is a feature of Windows 10 that allows you to easily encrypt your personal devices and prevent unauthorized access. Without the encryption key, the device is inaccessible. When you connect your BitLocker encrypted USB device to a Windows PC, you will be prompted for your password. Encrypting file system provides an added layer of protection by encrypting files or folders on various versions of the Microsoft Windows OS. EFS is a functionality or new technology file system NTFS and is built into a device via the OS. Password security starts with creating a strong password. A strong password is at least 12 characters long, but 14 or more is better. A combination of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. So what happens when a computer password expires? In password expiration, the user will prompt to change the password, and after that, the user account can be used again as usual. A UEFI or BIOS password is a password that must be entered when the machine is powered on or rebooted in order to continue. Without the password, the machine cannot be booted at all, even when external media and no configuration changes to the UEFI or BIOS setting can be made. Restricting user permissions. For example, you can restrict certain apps and websites or limit the amount of time a user can spend on the computer. You'll need to add a family account for each user so you want to monitor. Each user will also need to have a Microsoft account. You cannot enable parental control on a local account. Disabling guest accounts. For security reasons, the built-in guest account is disabled by default. This prevents users from having an option to log on to the system as guest. It can only be enabled by the administrative account. Windows does provide logon time restrictions functionality on a user-by-user basis. A system administrator can go into a user's account and restrict him to only being able to log on at certain times of the day and days of the week. But there is no way to do this by group. What is the default administrative account? Administrator account, the default local administrative account, is a user account for system administrators. Every computer has an administrator account, SID S/1/5/domain/500, display name administrator. The administrator account is the first account that is created during the Windows installation. By default, Windows 10 lock screen automatically turns off after you've been inactive for over a minute. This is called a timeout, and it's implemented to save power and battery life. However, some users may be looking to spend more or even less time when the lock screen actives. The account lockout threshold policy settings determines the number of failed sign-in attempts that will cause a user account to be locked. A locked account can't be used until you reset it or until the number of minutes specified by the account lockout duration policy setting expires. Your user account on a Windows computer should be password protected. That's your Windows password, also known as your user account password. When you create a user account on a Windows computer, you can make it local account or a Microsoft account. The main function of Active Directory is to enable administrators to manage permissions and control access to network resources. In Active Directory, data is stored as objects, which include users, groups, applications, and devices, and these objects are categorized according to their names and attributes. What is the use of creating Microsoft account? Access your favorite Microsoft product and series with just one account. Login. From Office and Windows to Xbox and Skype, one username and password connects you to the files, photos, people, and content you care about most. User Account Control UAC helps prevent malware from damaging a PC and helps organizations deploy a better managed desktop. Disabling account. If you have an unnecessary account on your computer, you can delete or disable it. Also, if you delete it, then all data from it will be lost and it cannot be restored. If you disable an account, you can enable it in the future without losing any data. So what does reset computer account do? Resetting a computer account breaks that computer's connection in the domain and requires it to rejoin the domain. Note, this will prevent an established computer from connecting to the domain and should only be used for a computer that has just been rebuilt. Patch management is the process of distributing and applying updates to softwares. These patches are often necessary to correct errors, also referred to as vulnerable or bugs in the software. Encryption in cybersecurity is the conversion of data from a readable format into an encoded format. Encrypted data can only be read or processed after it's been decrypted. Encryption is the basic building blocks of data security. Auto Run is a feature that allows Windows to automatically run the startup program when a CD, DVD, or USB device is inserted into a drive. Autorun also automatically shows the content of the USB device, such as an iPod or thumb drive, when it is inserted into the computer. What is the purpose of the face lock? Facial recognition is used when issuing identity documents and more often combined with other biometric technologies such as fingerprints, preventing ID frauds and identity theft. Face match is used as a border check to compare the portrait on a digitized biometric passport with the holder's face. How does a fingerprint lock work? Fingerprint door locks are smart locks equipped with fingerprint readers. The scanner works like a mechanical key or passcode in that you use it to unlock your door. So instead of using a passcode or physical key to unlock the door, you can simply place your finger on the scanner to unlock the door. Screen lock is a security feature for computers and mobile devices that help prevent unauthorized access to the device, also known as screen locks or screen locks. A screen lock requires a specific action or sequence of actions to be correctly performed by anyone attempting to use a lock screen protected device. Remote backup software enables backing up data and applications, usually on a third-party managed remote location or infrastructure. It enables storing, managing, and retrieving backup data to and from an offsite storage location. An application that keeps track of the physical location of the user via a combination of GPS and local cellular and Wi-Fi networks. That's the purpose of a locator application. Remote wipe is a security feature that allows a network administrator or device owner to send a command that deletes data to a computing device. It is primarily used to erase data on a device that has been lost or stolen, so that if the device falls into the wrong hands, the data won't be compromised. The Windows Security Lock feature helps keep your business computer's information secure by preventing others from logging into your computer without the correct password or key combination. Windows password protection requires you to enter a password every time you log into the Windows. Patches are softwares and operating systems updates that address security vulnerability within a program or product. Software vendors may choose to release updates to fix performance bugs, as well as to provide enhanced security features. Anti-malware is a type of software program created to protect information technology, IT systems, and individual computers from malicious softwares or malware. If a user enters an incorrect password for all 5 attempts, your account will lock for 5 minutes before it automatically unlocks. Depending on how long you want your account to lock, you can choose a value between 1 and 99,000 minutes. Biometric authentication is a security process that relies on the unique biological characteristics of individuals to verify they are who they are and say they are. Full device encryption protects the data on your device in the event it is lost or stolen. Without full device encryption, if the data drive in the computer is removed, the data can easily be read and accessed. Trusted documents are files that have been marked as trusted by enabling active content in them. The Microsoft Authenticator app helps you sign into your accounts when you're using two-step verification. Two-step verification helps you to use your accounts more securely because passwords can be forgotten, stolen, or compromised. Multi-factor authentication (MFA) is an authentication method that requires the users to provide two or more verification factors to gain access to a resource such as an application, online account, or a VPN. Profile security requirement is a goal set out for an application at its inception. Every application file a need for a requirement. For example, an application might need to allow customers to provide actions without calling customer service. Bring your own device, also known as BYOD, is a policy that allows employees in an organization to use their personal own device for work-related activities. Those activities include tasks such as accessing emails, connecting to the corporate network, and accessing corporate apps and data. A computer usage policy is a document that provides employees with guidelines on how to appropriately use company equipment and the internet on your work computer networks. A firewall is a security system designed to prevent unauthorized access into or out of a computer network. Firewalls are often used to make sure internet users without access are not able to interface with private networks or intranet connected to the network. A certificate of destruction outlines the process of destroying hard drives and storage media completely and thoroughly. Companies will wipe any information on them first before shredding them. What is Desktop File Incinerator? As one of the most popular tools in system mechanics, the incinerator works similarly to Windows Recycling Bin, but as a separate desktop icon that provides military strength file shredding techniques. An electromagnetic is a magnetic object created by running current through a conductive wire coiled around an iron coil. In computers, electromagnets are commonly found on a reader-write heads of disk drives. A file shredder, also known as virtual or digital shredder, is a program designed to render computer-based files unreadable, just as a conventional shredder makes physical documents unreadable. Should you change your default SSID? You should change the default SSIDs for a couple of reasons. One technical, one not. Using a default or common SSID can make it easier for bad guys to crack the WPA2 encryption. The network name is part of the encryption algorithm, and password cracking dictionaries, rainbow tables include common SSIDs. Drive Wipes, open in a new window, is a free portable ensure utility that runs from a USB drive and wipes your Windows boot drive. Simply download and run the diskwipe.exe file on your PC, or create a bootable environment on your USB flash drive and run diskwipe from there. Overwriting is a technique used by speculative options writers in an attempt to profit from the premiums paid by option buyers for option contracts the writer hopes will expire without being exercised. Access point placement are used for extending the wireless coverage of an existing network and for increasing the number of users that can connect to it. A high-speed Ethernet cable runs from a router to an access point, which transforms the wired signal into a wireless one. Disabling the SSID broadcast is one way of securing your wireless network. This procedure will prevent other users from detecting your SSID or your wireless network name when they attempt to view an available wireless networks in your area. Encryption helps protect the data on your device so it can only be accessed by people who have authorization. If device encryption isn't available on your device, you might be able to turn on standard BitLocker encryption instead. MAC address filtering allows you to block traffic coming from the certain known mechanics or devices. The router uses the MAC address of a computer or device on the network to identify it and block or permit the access. Traffic coming in from a specified MAC address will be filtered depending upon the policy. So why should we change default usernames and passwords? Default passwords and usernames are one of the major contributing factors to large-scale security compromises. Attackers can easily identify and access internet-connected devices that use shared default passwords. It is imperative to change default manufacturer's password and restrict network access to critical and important systems. Wi-Fi Protected Setup, also known as WPS, is a feature supplied with many routers. It is designed to make the process of connecting to a secure wireless network from a computer or other device easier. Sometimes, user may need to disable the USB ports on a computer to prevent device interaction. The action can be especially useful in work environments as it prevents the unauthorized copying of sensitive data. Disabling USB ports also keeps a network from becoming infected with viruses or other malwares. Port forwarding is directing traffic from the outside world to the appropriate server inside a local TCP/IP network. Internet services are identified by a standard port number. For example, web traffic uses port number 80. A firewall configuration is a collection of profiles or rules. You apply these profiles or rules on the computer to determine the permissions for all inbound and outbound connections for specific ports. Windows uses profiles to connect to the internet or network. Physical security is the protection of personal, hardware, software, networks, and data from physical actions and events that could cause serious loss or damage to an enterprise, agency, or institution. What is a firmware update? A firmware update is a software program used to update the firmware in these devices. For example, a user could download a firmware update for a network router that enhances its capabilities or fixes an issue. Firmware updates are available from hardware manufacturers. Adding parental control to your PC or Mac can help reduce the risk of your children accessing specific websites and can allow you to monitor their internet activity. Parental control can also allow you to limit how much time children can spend on a computer each day. A static IP address is simply an address that doesn't change. Once your device is assigned a static IP address, that number typically stays the same until the device is decompromised or your network architecture changes. An administrator is someone who can make changes on a computer that will affect other users of the computer. Administrators can change security settings, install software and hardware, access all files on the computer, and make changes to other user accounts.